Good evening, Eden community. It is February the 3rd, and you are now joining us live, our live feed from webinar number 11, Price versus Value. We have back with us our COO, Prisma COO, Sia Jalali, to talk about price versus value as it applies to Eden and products upcoming. We welcome you all back again. Thank you in advance for joining, for participating, spending the hour with us each week, as many of you have been. And we will spend this next hour with you guys, imparting some new wisdoms and explaining price versus value, ending with the traditional format of question and answer with those who want to be engaged. Sia, I'll turn it over to you, bud. Price versus value. Let's get it on.
Thank you very much, Chris, and hi, everyone. Here is Sia Jalali, the CEO of Prisma Analytics. I'm very excited to be back again, and thank you for giving me this opportunity today to lead this webinar. And as Chris mentioned already, this time the topic is price versus value, and then more important than that is what gives value actually to our Adane project, and what are the latest updates in terms of development of the applications and the architecture that we are working on now. So knowing that the public launch of Adane is only in 53 days away, I'm very excited that this deadline is coming closer. And we all hope that we will deliver the applications and the software, which is starting with Decision Point, to also bring this excitement that me and my team are sharing now on a day-to-day basis also to you guys, so that you can see also the value out of these applications and the whole infrastructure IT project that we are now following. So having said that, let's start to give you some theoretical explanations. And this is very important to understand this kind of topics in order to be able to make a distinguish between price and value. And then later on, what is the impact of all of this for our particular project, Adane? I would like to start with a quote from Warren Buffett relating to this topic, which is basically very fair and brings it to the point. Where Warren said once, price is what you pay and value is what you get. And I think this actually tells us all regarding the definition of these two terms. So price and value are the two sides of the same coin. And it's very important for us to understand the difference between them, so that we can also increase our chance for making good decisions and investments, because there is a big difference between these two terms. I start with price. So in commercial transactions, a product or service is exchanged for a price between a buyer and a seller. We can say that price is the amount to be paid in order to get that product or service. So it's a number that is determined, and you have to pay that currency, and then you get that product or service. Value is different. The value of a product or service is the utility or the worth of that product or service for the buyer. This is very important to understand. I will just want to give you an example which came to my mind today. During my time living in Dubai, like 6 years ago, I can clearly remember myself that at that time there was an application in the App Store. I cannot remember that name, but that application was costing $10,000. And many rich kids in Dubai wanted to have that application, which basically had no functions at all. It was just symbolic application that many of these rich kids wanted to have on their phone to show to each other that, listen, I am able to pay this price to get this app with actually more or less no functionality. So within this example that I just brought up, the price of this product, this application, this service was $10,000. Now the value of the same application to a person like me, because there was, as I said, there was no service, there was no value add, was zero. But the value of the same application for some of these kids was like more than $1 million, because they were all in a position to show this in front of each other, to say, I have the application, and imply that they are very, very rich. So this is a very basic example that I thought makes sense in this regard. We can come up with many, many other examples, and I'm going to also come up with an additional example just in a while regarding Apple products. So the most important distinction between price and value is the fact that price is arbitrary and value is fundamental. Like price is determined based on cost or some other techniques, but value is fundamental to the people. And that is the service level that they get. Of course, price has a powerful impact on value and vice versa. So these two are linked. And as I just said, they can influence each other. I give you some examples. Price can influence the value of a product by making it exclusive to only a few categories of people. If we move into the premium pricing categories, and the best example I think in this regard is Apple products. As you may know, Apple products, they all have high prices based on the quality that they have, but also this high price makes them more desirable for the consumers, because it's just exclusively for a portion of people that can afford to pay this high price. Now, the combination of this high price and the quality which this company is offering with its products is bringing the value up. And sometimes this value is disproportional to the actual value of the product. If you ask me, an iPhone is too expensive based on the services that the iPhone is providing. But the company, based on the marketing strategy and based on this high price and premium pricing strategy, has achieved now that many people want to pay this high price to have these products, to show that they are in the category of those people that can afford such products. Now, the same psychological effect works also at the other side. What I'm trying to say is that also value can also influence the price. The best example here, I think, is when we talk about consumer perspectives. Whenever we start to bring the consumer perspectives into pricing, that is called value-based pricing. Value-based pricing is nothing different than when it bases prices primarily on the value of the product to the consumer, rather than on the cost of the product or historical prices from the competition. Now, the value of the product can have two aspects. This is also very important to understand and distinguish between these two. We have an absolute value and we have an relative value. Actually, it's very simple and basic to understand. The absolute value is the importance of the goals that the consumer is trying to achieve. That means that the more a product meets the multiple needs of a customer, the more it will be thought after and used. So the demand is higher, the value comes up. This is called absolute value. The relative value, as I just mentioned, are the alternative solutions that are available to the customers in the market, which says if the same solution is also available from other brands, other companies, other ventures, other groups, this subjective choice that a customer has to pick one of these solutions, that's the relative value. So the absolute value quantifies how well a product meets consumer needs, and the relative value puts the product value in perspective of the available solutions, alternatives on the market. Understanding this both is very critical in order to make investments in any kinds. Now, what is unique in our project in terms of this value is the system that we have put together, which is based on the technology of the blockchain, as you know, which means that these Edain tokens that are our software license keys are in a limited number based on this blockchain technology. Based on this, we exchange value. This is the most important piece of my speech today that I want you to understand. We know that this blockchain is a technological aspect of this whole project. That's for sure. But this helps us because blockchain is offering transparency and clear vision within this project and the number of coins that we're bringing out. So everything is very clear and transparent. This lowers the uncertainty, right? And as a matter of fact, as humans, we will find ways to lower the uncertainty. And if this is possible with the using of the blockchain technology, then we are trusting ourselves more. Whenever we trust ourselves more, then we can exchange value and simply do trading. Again, in a very simple form, this blockchain technology within our project, in our Edain tokens, is helping us exchanging value and doing trade, is making the whole thing more transparent. So for the first time in human history, we are using the technology to lower the uncertainty and to increase value. Now, there is a fact that I just want to mention here, and that is whenever you start such a project and you bring your coins and tokens out, there are a number of people that are just speculating. These people just have in mind to buy an asset and expect and speculate that the value of this asset, that the price of this asset will go up. And in order to cash out and to sell this at once, and they are not interested actually in the value of the project, in the whole ecosystem that we have put together, which is creating applications that throughout our C+8 platform give you access to the repositories of knowledge worlds. So what I want to say is that we are trying to achieve a situation where demand and supply are under control. Why? Because after going public at the end of March, we want the Edain to be successful and to keep its value and hopefully also increase in value. So for this purpose, we have to have in mind that we have to come up with some ideas how this equilibrium price, which is nothing else than creating an environment where quantity of supply equals somehow the quantity of demand, is in a balance. For that, we are putting a number of mechanisms in place. So one of the things that we are doing in this term is as you may all know, as you are all members of our community and you have read the white papers and all the TNCs that we have put online, is that we have implemented a 2-year vesting period. This is just an anti-dumping strategy, which I just mentioned before, in order to prevent those that are just here for speculations. Okay? So as you may know, and it was all mentioned in details, I think in our webinar number 8, in combination with vesting and staking and so on, we have put this strategy in order to have this anti-dumping and in order to regulate the release of the tokens in a long term. So this is one of the mechanisms that we have put in place and that is going to help us and support us in terms of the demand and supply balance that we need. The other one is the real-time relevance of the knowledge. And that is something that I'm going to briefly tell you just in a while. How can I create demand and supply at a certain level that I need? I think it stands and falls with getting the trust from the community. And the trust comes whenever you have applications that are working and are bringing value, and your promise to your community is working. I think when the community is investing trust and support in the project, this will increase the value of the knowledge of the Edain ecosystem. And this ecosystem is something that all of you are going to be able to access from the end of March. So once we start, once the applications are released, and once you see the value add and the mechanism behind the software and applications, I think you will get even more trust. And this trust is going to increase the value of our project and also increase the demand and supply of the tokens. In the world of today, as I mentioned before, the supply and demand concept is one of the most fundamental principles that we know. And we need you as our community to support us in order to increase the value. I hope that what I'm saying now is clear to you, but nevertheless, at the end of the session, we have the Q&A session. And if there are some uncertainties, then we will answer those questions. So, as I said, because the number of these tokens are limited, and because the value will be created in accessing these repositories, which are our knowledge vaults, this will increase the value, and this will help us in order to have the right level of demand and supply, as I mentioned, and have that balance. Now I want to get back to what I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. That is, how do we determine the Edain price? The Edain ecosystem is a medium of exchange for processing queries to the system. This, I think, we have mentioned a number of times. Any query to the knowledge world has a real cost to process. This cost includes a variety of different components that the system is going to calculate and give you this upfront before you move on. This cost includes an algorithm formula that incorporates any related data use fee from external third parties, but also electricity, machine processing, administration costs, consumer support costs, insurance, you name it, which is in total like our landed cost. All of these values are calculated before any query to the system is carried out. And the user then has the option to decide whether to continue with the query or not. before paying using EDAIN. The EDAIN system is carried out on a blockchain and provides all the inherent benefits of this blockchain, as I mentioned before. Well, we have to be very careful. The EDAIN is based on a blockchain technology, but has nothing to do with the technology that we are using in C++ data processing. C++ data processing, as mentioned before, is not operating on blockchain technology. It employs a complex network and is a combination of deep learning and AI, and is a complex network, as I just mentioned, of both hardware and software. EDAIN comes in as a user software license keys, which is enabling the users to access the repository and the knowledge vault. Okay, so we have to distinguish these two. The tradable license keys in EDAIN knowledge ecosystem are convertible medium of exchange, as we mentioned this, representing the value of the knowledge that resides within the knowledge vault. So in order to access this knowledge, you need this, I don't want to mention currency, you need this software license key, this utility that you have purchased before. A consumer uses these tokens to acquire knowledge to our software applications, which are developed on top of the C++ platform, as you may all know. Meanwhile, every query into the C++ knowledge vault will have a different price in terms of this token and EDAINs. I just give you a rough example, because it has something to do with the machine power and with those other aspects which I just mentioned before. If you create and send a query regarding Elon Musk's news over the past weeks regarding Bitcoin, that will have a different price than a publicly available knowledge or information regarding Elon Musk over the past years. Because for the first option, the computing power, which is going to cover all the informations which is inside this data lake, is higher to get that piece of information that you need. What is the latest news regarding Elon Musk and Bitcoin? Because the entire social media, everything that needs to be searched, this query needs to be expanded into some other parsing components that we have created. It's higher than a basic, simple, fundamental information regarding, I don't know, Elon Musk and Tesla, which is publicly available everywhere. And the exact same query which you put into the system today will very likely have a slightly different price the day after or the day before. Again, this tokens pricing algorithm will always be published publicly, so that every consumer wishing to know how they are being charged can exactly know how the price has been calculated. And you have the choice to decide whether or not you want to continue, and then you pay your EDAINs in order to get that result out of the repository. So now that I have given you some informations regarding the mechanism that we are using in order to regulate the demand and supply, and on top of it, the way we are pricing your queries into the system, I just want to move on and move to the next topic, which is why we think, and we share this all with you for sure, that this EDAIN project is valuable, because we have given now the price definition value. What makes our project valuable? Before I start, I just want to give you some examples, and that's in general terms. The value of a project is given by its utility, as I mentioned right at the beginning. Let's talk about the field of arts as an example. There are many aspects within the field of arts that make a piece of art valuable. It starts with the plastic value of the work itself. The author is very important. How important is this author? How many works he has had in the past? If this author has painted multiple works or not, if there is a special story behind this piece of painting or art. All of these things can be verified more and easily now these days with the newly developed NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And this collective valuable asset can become, as you know, has become very, very popular these days. Why? Because with the usage of the blockchain technology in the field of NFTs, you can create transparency even more for all of these pieces of art. Now, just like any other piece of art, the NFT is valued based on the credibility of the artist in physical world. The efforts that have been put together in order to create this artwork, the story behind it, and its uniqueness, all the combination of all of this, which is integrated into the blockchain and is represented in a very transparent and clear form to the consumers, has created this hype. So this because these projects in NFT area are now so valuable and so popular. Another example that I want to give, just in order to make it clear what makes a project valuable, is that if we take some technological products into consideration, like let's take the chips, high-tech chips. As you may all know, these high-tech chips are now these days in more or less all the applications and devices that we are using. The price of these chips is low, but the value of them is very, very high, because it's just like a bottleneck. And as you may all know, these days, because of the shortage of the production of these little chips, we have some problems in the supply chain mechanism in our productions worldwide. So again, you see that how a project can have a value or not. Behind the motivation for starting the EDAIN project was the idea that this technology that we have developed could really change the world by reducing the existence knowledge gap. Now I want to start giving you the reason behind why we are so excited regarding EDAIN and why we think that EDAIN has such a high value to our project. When we designed the C+8 technology, we realized that there was a solution that could be pursued in order to build a never seen before knowledge repository, as I mentioned at the beginning. And set the building blocks for a EDAIN project was in a way that we thought, okay, with using this technology, we can open the doors and make knowledge accessible to each and everyone. Basically, whoever has an internet connection worldwide would be able to send his queries into our system. And the approach will be that he will get the results out of this applications that we have put on top of this C+8 platform. So we are giving the access to basically everyone to the most important asset of this world, which is knowledge. Although I have now touched on to three topics that in my mind are the most important ones, why they make EDAIN project so valuable, I just wanted to make a listing of some features of our EDAIN project, which is a repeat of what you have heard within our webinars before, but I think at this point it's very important to just list them once again. So what are the USPs of our project? That again, based on the first part of my speech, are making our project valuable. And making them valuable is creating demand and supply. And this demand and supply will bring the value of the Edain token within the time higher. Okay, so the first USP of our project, as you may all know, is through the development of the C+8 technology, is the generalization of the unstructured data. With the system that we have developed, with the technology that we have put in place, artificial intelligence combination with NLP and deep learning, we have created a system that is able to generalize unstructured data. Like our workers, our readers, our parsers can read any kind of information and put a certain structure into it. And the next step will be creating information out of it, data, and then the knowledge. Second, the entire C+8 process from capture to output is entirely autonomous without any human touch and human bias. I think this we have mentioned many, many times, that this is the exciting part of it, that the whole thing based on neuronal networks and artificial intelligence is working and giving you results without any human interpretations or bias. As you may have seen in some of our previous webinars, as we were presenting Decision Point. Decision Point is a piece of software, as you have seen, that is just analyzing all the different stochastic signals that is based on a certain algorithm out of reading the news, and is giving you that piece of information that you didn't have in the past, but that all works bias-free. So whatever you get out of this software is a bias-free piece of information and insight that is helping you making a more precise decision in this regard. USP number 3, what I see is that we have developed a software capability that allows data to be self-organized. As I mentioned in my last webinar, our smart setup in terms of the database, which is patented and is working with the data fusion objects. I don't want to go into the technical details, is a very smart form of saving informations and data. I can tell you that because we have seen the latest results last week, that already at this stage of development that we are now having, this AI has a 90% accuracy in labeling textual data and putting it under social circumplex. That is a piece of application within Decision Point, and it's also going to be provided to you in a separate sole standalone application. And this is phenomenal. And we are not at the end of the road. So imagine if we improve the training of our data, if we improve our data lake infrastructure, which we are doing. We are now in the phase 3 of testing. What will be the result at the end when the application comes in terms of the accuracy of the results out of the application? The USP number 4 is that our data analytic system allows us to measure knowledge in a standard way. And if we are able to push the standard that we are using while we are growing, while we are adding more and more people into our community, the users of the applications, those that are a part of the Edain community, I think this will be phenomenal at a certain point, because then that could be a standard at the global level for measuring knowledge. And in my mind, the USP number 5 is that for the very first time, you are going to use applications, whereas the license key for these applications are used on a blockchain technology. I have never seen this before, and I think this is the first time that we are providing such a service to the public world, where we say, okay, this is a limited number of software license keys, and within the time, this will increase in value because the knowledge is going to be increased in these repositories, in our knowledge words. So the single objects that are applied within this database are getting smarter and smarter, and the system is reading every day more data. And this is bringing the value of the knowledge which is sitting inside this vaults higher, and then also getting access to that will get higher value. So I think these are very significant breakthroughs in field of data science that we have achieved so far. And these aspects of this project are going to ensure a very high value for the EDANE project regarding the market needs and requirements, as I mentioned at the beginning. Again, I think we are creating here an ecosystem that is giving access to each and everyone who has an internet connection to use and to get that gap of knowledge, which was before not the case for each and everyone. We are going to make knowledge as a utility and accessible for each and every individual who wants to have it. The only precondition is to have these license keys and to have the EDANEs in your wallet. And then basically in each segment, B2B, B2C, B2G, you will have the possibility to access the knowledge vaults based on the technology that we have put together. What are our expectations after March 30? I have touched base this point, I think last time in my webinar, also with you, because the expectations are now at a level that we are also excited to see such a huge number in our community. And the number of those that are interested in our applications is also growing day by day. As a matter of fact, our expectations have also significantly went up. So I am completely sure that the entire world will have a positive reaction to what we are doing right now. And I'm honest with you, I am the CEO of this company, and for sure during these times, as I also mentioned this last time, just very shortly to all of you, we have had some setbacks. But the challenge is that we are on our feet again, and we have managed to address all of these challenges. We have introduced some new technologies in terms of the technologies that we're using. We have a number of great, brave, smart, knowledgeable people that are working, and the number of our employees and our team is also growing. So this because I can tell you that we are on the right track, and the deadlines that we have shared with you at the beginning of the project and the release dates are not going to be touched. You are going to be as excited as me at the end of March when you see these applications coming out and working. I want to share with you just briefly some little updates regarding what we have achieved during the months of January this year. So basically our text parsings are now finalized. We have 6 different parsing components within a module, which is phenomenal. And we are using various techniques in terms of NLP that together with our custom created algorithms are able to extract all the informations which are needed from the text to our knowledge repository. So this has been completed within the month of January. As I mentioned before, we are now in the phase 3 of testing, and in the middle of March, on the 15th of March, this phase 3 of testing will also be finalized, so that we have 2 weeks buffer time in order to do the final issues and updates before the end of March. I don't want to take more time. I think I have extended my half an hour already, but just 1 or 2 points to add. Well, the entire components of this project that we have built together so far, these are not just only for the decision point applications that is going to be released at the end of March. On the same components, you will see a number of additional applications. As you may know, Q-Search, which is going to help us in terms of analyzing information galaxies when you are searching a certain piece of information, which is a phenomenal way in terms of the front end of this software to show you that piece of information, also the application components that are working in the background. Then GeoMap, then the social circumplex. So all of these applications, which are based on the C+8 platform and technology, are using the same database and parsing and extraction technologies that we have put in place based on deep learning and AI. So once we are finalizing these components, which is going to be very soon, after launching the first application, the other applications are going to be released, I think, in an interval of 4 to 5 weeks, one after each other, because basically 90% of those applications are already ready. It's just a different form in terms of front end and a different form of putting your queries into the system in order to access that knowledge repository. So this is the good news, that while working on all of these components, this is at the same time also achievements in terms of progress monitor for the roadmap of the additional applications that are coming. So I'm very sorry for extending my time. I'm sorry if I was not very clear during my speech. I hope that I can compensate this with the Q&As that are coming right now. Let me put this once more very clear to all of you, that on a personal note, I myself, I'm very proud to be a part of this beautiful and excited project. And I thank each and every one of you to be a part of this community, to take your time to listen to our webinars, and to send all these comments that we are receiving on a day-to-day basis, which has improved also our strategy and the roadmap in front of us. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attention. Chris, yep. I give it back to you.
Thank you, Sia. Thank you. Okay, folks, this is the Q&A session. For those of you that have been with us before, we're going to jump right into the questions, as we're a little bit short on time now. And we, again, I think you guys know we try to get to everybody. Jumping to the chase, I have been told by my trusty compatriot Sarah that we have Gabriel in the room with us. Gabriel, are you embedded?
Yes, I'm here.
Gabriel.
Hi, Gabriel.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Go ahead with your question, Gabriel, please.
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity, and I hope you continue doing the good work, good job. And my question is, a bit longer than usual. Actually, has a few ideas before the question, if you allow it.
Yeah,
So,
sure, go ahead. Mhm.
as far as I understand, the products and services offered by Edane are based on a current cost pricing strategy. However, as Edane's intrinsic value and, of course, market value increases, a value-based pricing strategy would be more appreciated by us, the direct investors. Therefore, my question, is Edane going to leverage these differences between price and value?
Yeah, okay, Gabriel, fair enough question. What I would like to say is that, understand the purpose of the Knowledge Vault, the purpose of Eden. The purpose of the Knowledge Vault is to make knowledge available to everybody in the world that has a desire to access it. For the purpose of making good decisions, for the purpose of making our global society more efficient, more peaceful. And really, look, let's not forget that, the originality of this, the uniqueness of the project. There simply isn't a single repository of data, hence knowledge, once processed by C+8, that exists anywhere. This is a first of its kind. And really, for us to serve the purpose that the Knowledge Vault is designed to serve, and that is, a leveling of the playing field, if you will. It would not become us to have a pricing strategy where we increase the price based on demand. There are different pricing strategies that companies have. Sia alluded to Apple and the value of Apple products. They're very real. If you've ever used an Apple product, you understand it. With regard to Knowledge Vault, our commitment, our statement from the very beginning has been, knowledge at the absolute lowest cost we can possibly provide it. And the whole purpose of this is really to enjoin and take advantage of the human collective intelligence. And if we all have access to the same knowledge, the same information, it is our belief that we're doing the right job for everybody, for our global society. And let's not forget that we're all here on this tiny little planet in the scheme of things, to live together, to create neighborhoods and communities where we can all live together safely, securely, comfortably, and raise our families. So, the view is that if we do a good job processing data, which we are abundantly confident we can do, and if we do a good job ourselves and third-party developers do a good job building knowledge applications on top of this repository, Gabriel, there will be no shortage of demand. There will be no shortage of value in the Eden utility tokens. Really, this is a case where nature will take its own course and it will be positive. And that really is our commitment. That really is our strategy going forward. Gabriel, I hope that answers the question, and certainly not to detract from what your hopes are. Actually, quite the contrary. I think if we do a good job and stick to our commitment, stick to our promise, it will be more than fine.
I completely share your vision, Chris, and this is exactly what I just also wanted to say. It's exactly the way you just said.
Gian, Gabriel, thank you again for joining, man. I really appreciate the question and taking the time.
Thank you. And actually, it was a great answer. As a user, I've definitely appreciate it. And I mean, more than the investment, the value I put in.
Yeah, look, I just want to kind of reemphasize here to everybody that's participating. I mean, I kind of get goosebumps from time to time, realizing that I'm involved in something that is extraordinary, that is a world first, a historical first. And, we make this work, you guys. I mean, everybody that's on this call right now, you guys are all part of the concrete in the road here. And, we're really, really all blessed to be standing where we're standing. And, we've alluded to this many times, the construct of our community, the energy that the community's generated and continues to generate is really the foundation of what this is all about. And, come March 30 and beyond, when we start to release the first of these applications, and the story really starts to move, for lack of a better term, we're on a pretty good bandwagon, I think. And thank you for joining and taking the time for the question, Gabriel.
Thank you. Guys. Thank
You
you.
bet. Gian, I understand you're in the room with us. Are you here?
Yes, sure.
Hi, Gian. How you doing, bud?
Does your project support stacking program? If yes, how do you use stack program system? What is the requirement of user is they want to stack in your platform?
Mhm.
Because
Sure. Yeah. Let me answer these couple questions
You
here for
can
you.
do
Yes.
it.
Gian, yes, Eden does have a staking program with a 10% yearly reward. Customers that bought Eden, during the pre-sale can stake them as they are released through the vesting schedule. Customers who buy after the pre-sale ends can stake their Eden whenever they wish. There are no other requirements if somebody wants to stake. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Staking is important. Certainly important for those of you who are interested in it, and I think important for the growth and development of the Knowledge Vault.
Yeah, just add one point to this, Chris, if you allow. And I just wanted to also tell you all guys that we are using the staking mechanism within this project also in order to have a mechanism for all those that need an incentive to buy but not to sell in a very short term, to give them this incentive so that they are we control the supply and demand to some extent. So this is very important within this project, that we are using this technology, which is a part of the blockchain, to give you an incentive to buy, but not to sell right now, but even then you get some coins more, so you can sell it later, so that we do not have those speculators at the beginning that just are interested in the speculations and so on. So it's addressing this topic also at the same time.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Shirsan. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank
Gian.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Samuel, I understand you're in the room with us. Are you still there? Samuel?
Yeah, hello.
Hello, how are you, sir?
Hi.
Yeah, I'm well. Oh,
You got a question for us, pal?
yeah, I've got quite a few questions. I hope I do not take a lot of time. First, thank you. I mean, I've been following it in for quite a while, and
Yeah, I
looking
recognize
through
you.
the seminars and webinars. So, first, I'd like to ask. Okay, so I know when people search on Eden, okay, they pay with the tokens. Is there any plan that a section or a portion of the money being made from the tokens is used in the buyback of the license? That is one of my questions.
Sorry. One more question. Can you restate the question?
Okay, the question is when people buy, I mean, they query Eden on different applications, they query it and then they pay with some tokens. So Eden as an organization, you're probably making some money from that, so to say. The question is there any plan, okay? Do you have any plan to use part of that for the buyback of the tokens from the open market in order to stabilize price through time?
Buyback.
Yeah, the tokens
Yeah,
do
a buyback.
go. The tokens do go back into the pool, Samuel. The answer is yes. Having said that, no, there isn't profit in it actually. The Knowledge Vault, bear in mind again, the Knowledge Vault operates as a not-for-profit entity. All of the revenue that is generated through the Knowledge Vault, through the revenue generated from queries, goes back into sustaining the system, acquiring data, and maintaining and developing the system forward. there will be no, P&Ls to discuss. There'll be no, everything will be completely transparent. Everybody will know exactly what's going on with the Knowledge Vault. There is no profit involved here. This truly is a project in philanthropy, for the betterment of developing our world sustainably and pursuing the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
Right.
Oh,
Did you have another question?
That's fantastic. Yeah, I do. Very quickly. I know that this is based on the Ethereum network. We know the kind of challenges we currently have with Ethereum, especially with respect to high gas fees. Okay, so if we're going to open this to a lot of people, the cost of doing transaction on the Ethereum network is extremely high. We'd never know whether they'll be able to solve it. Do you have plans for a multi-chain implementation? That is my question. Or implementing this on a layer to like Polygon and the Phantom of this world that are still based on the ERC token algorithm.
Sure.
The other question I have has to do with decision points. I'm an AI practitioner myself, and I know that one of the major issues you need to solve is the size of data you require for training. So in situations, okay, I've seen decision points used on the New York Stock Exchange where you've got a lot of data. Okay, so when you come to third world nations like mine, where I stay, and then data is a very big issue. Okay. What is the impact of the quantity of data on the precision of the result you get for queries on the decision point? Has that been factored into your current model development? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. With regard to the last question, sure. I mean, look, we know the more data that we capture, the more data that we're able to process and make available for queries, no matter what they are, the better the outcomes. And look, at the end of the day, I mean, utopia for the Knowledge Vault is to capture all of the data that is produced in the world, which is technically, technologically, feasibly impossible as we speak right now. Yeah, and certainly anybody that understands anything about data these days certainly knows that as well. So but that is our pursuit. That's the end game for us, and inevitably that will probably never be achievable, not in our lifetimes. But we also know that running our own models and our own tests and our own queries against our own system at this point in time, the more data we have, the better the results we get. So at the outset, we kind of had this idea that this was going to be an n-dimensional system from the moment we flipped the switch on. Well, I think we've come to know better than that at this point. And although in fact, if you just look at the lineup of the first knowledge applications that we're making available are largely finance or financial related applications. We've kind of focused our attention there for now. Over time, this will roll out and become a more equal spread, something leaning more closely toward an n-dimensional system. At the end of the day, I think when we get to a point where we can say the Knowledge Vault is an n-dimensional query system, capable of fielding queries of any kind, that's just a monumental achievement. But that's our goal. That's where we're headed. And I'm sorry, the previous question. Yeah, the previous question, I'm sorry, can you just restate it one more time? I'm over 50, my memory's bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty chasing you myself.
Thank you.
So the other question has to do with the network. I know this is an ERC20 token. It's Ethereum-based.
Sorry.
You're listing on Uniswap and all of that. It's expensive, yeah. So
it is, yeah. Well, look, you raise a good point, one that's been raised several times before. A, we're abundantly aware of this. B, we know that there needs to be a solution for it. And C, what I can disclose to you at this point is that we are certainly weighing our options. I think internally we have a pretty good angle on what we're going to do. This, as you very aptly point out, this is not a sustainable solution. We know it must be, especially if we're going to really meet the the commitment of making knowledge available to everybody at very, very low cost or no cost. That's a problem that has to be solved. We know it. There are solutions, thankfully. This isn't a new technology we're going to have to develop ourselves. And all I would say is, find comfort in knowing that we're acutely aware, and we will let the community and everybody else know as soon as we possibly can, without misdirecting anybody. Okay.
Yeah, that would be something lovely to say. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think we're in agreement here. Don't worry. Cheers, pal. Thank you. I think maybe we've got time for one more, and I know we've got Sarah is in with us. Excuse me, not Sarah. Salah. Salah, are you in? Salah's been with us before. Hi, Salah. Welcome back, buddy.
Hello. Good evening at the value for the users in this highly competitive market.
Yeah. Okay. Good question. Fair play. Look, the value that Eden will bring to users is in providing for our ability to make better decisions. We know this. We've talked about this many times, and it's interesting. As much as we've talked about it, it's kind of still a recurring theme, which I think makes us understand that maybe we need to talk about it more in better ways, different ways. I don't know. But at the end of the day, and I'd given an example, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago in one of the webinars, where I said, and this is just sort of a snapshot. So consider that this example is something that could be applicable to anything, and I'll give you a couple more examples as well. You've got a government, I don't know, city X is considering building a dam on some land within its jurisdiction. And it's a big body of water. It would be a big dam. And the project becomes, before even sticking a shovel in the ground to break dirt, provided that was, the elected decision, you have years, very probably, of research, of analysis, of weighing the pros and the cons, all of which not only takes time, but takes costs a lot of money, taxpayer money, that could be spent on God knows what, lots of other things. It could produce lots of, very positive social benefits. What if we had a tool such as a knowledge vault that we could query, that we could go to, a machine consultant that would wrap all of this research and analysis up for us in the matter of, I don't know, hours, maybe days at the very outset, and cost a very tiny fraction of what it would cost us in money terms. How would that impact human evolution if we were able to solve problems? Because what we're talking about is solving problems here, right? Every decision we make is about solving problems ultimately. What if we could solve problems in scale like this? How would that impact how humans live? Well, I think it's easy to understand. If you take that example and you multiply it across every different strata and level of society, what this would really mean. I mean, what would it mean to things like research for systemic disease? What would it mean for my ability to understand what my holiday options are if I had a system where I could input all of the things that really interested me for the holiday that I want to take my family on? The results returned for the analysis and the research that are provided for both of the queries that I just mentioned will be entirely fact-based. There will be no human error involved because there aren't any humans involved in this research nor analysis, nor will there be any bias involved, right? And so what we're talking about is not only speeding up the process, but as Sia noted just a few minutes ago, we're running tests now that are returning 90% accurate results. And it's because we're starting to be able to remove failures in analysis that are very largely associated with human error, with bias. And if you talk to anybody in the data science business or in the consulting business, doesn't matter what kind of consulting you're doing, what the number one flaw is with human analysis it is bias. And even though I would like to say that I myself am very objective and I can remove all bias from every piece of analysis or research I do, let me tell you something.
There is always a little bit bias in every research, in every one of us.
You're
A
right.
little bit.
But that's in the nature of the human being. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
and,
right.
and it often creeps in when we don't even really understand that it is. So, you know, we're well past the hour, and you know, our commitment to you guys is to keep this within an hour. So we're going to wrap it up. But you know, what I think is important is that we try to really start extending to everybody what we're talking about. You know, this question. Sorry, my trusty colleague is telling me, Sarah is telling me that we're going to take a question from Mohammed. So we are. But again, you know, it's really important that I think we start to really explain in very clear terms how this is going to impact people. You know, what benefit or utility are we really going to provide through the Knowledge Vault? And again, these two examples, I'd like to just kind of leave you with those as two examples. I think we'll make it a point to talk, you know, further and more deeply into other examples in future webinars, because again, you know, we see recurring themes, and this is the human analysis we're talking about, okay? And in these recurring themes, we continue to see questions like this pop up. So just know that we'll make some commitment to really flesh this out further, particularly as we're getting close to launching the first applications, okay?
Perfect. Thank you. Great answer.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Salah.
you. Good evening. Thank you. Thank you too.
Mohammed, Sarah has mandated to me that we are going to take your questions, so we are. Are you on with us,
Hi,
Mohammed?
Mohammed.
Sarah, maybe not. Mohammed, are you here? Mohammed?
Mohammed?
I think we may have lost Mohammed, and maybe this is the bell that tolls.
This could be because we are now.
There he is. Mohammed, are you there?
I
Unmute
do.
yourself, Mohammed. I see you.
Mohammed, you're on unmute. Oh yeah, now.
Hello.
Hi, Mohammed.
Hi.
Yes.
Oh,
Nice to meet you. Just go
Yes,
on with
yes.
the question.
what's your question, pal?
Steps that we must implement and understand.
Mhm.
One of it is a token that is holding an event so that its marketing is inversely proportional to the price of Bitcoin, which continues to decline its price. Sometimes
Yeah.
there are some crypto assets on the market that don't live up to expectation. On the other hand, when things are going down, these crypto assets seem to be bucking the trend. So for the time being, you can switch your focus from Bitcoin and look for money on Eden asset. For example, apart from good marketing, there are also some very strong team.
Yeah, so, you know, look, this is a good point. And I'll tell you, I think there are a couple responses to this. One, I think any digital currency in the world today is impacted by Bitcoin as the de facto leader of press in the global digital currency marketplace, and we can refer to that if you want as the cryptocurrency marketplace. I would further point out that, you know, Eden is not a cryptocurrency, and I think further yet, and you know, we're obviously telling our story in the crypto space for good cause, and that cause is generally this is a marketplace that we knew that we could get an audience with, that, you know, we knew there was a strong community within, and you know, as we talk about a utility token, our own internal currency that we refer to as a tradable license key, we knew that we would have a community here that our story would resonate with, or at least we hoped it would. And, you know, it's a relatively tight community and accessible. And that's why we chose it. That's why we've chosen to spend so much time here. And so I think that's important to note. But, you know, lastly, I think what's really important to understand is that all of the digital currencies, whatever you want to call them, however they want to frame themselves, those that are going to win in the end are those that have a utility, are those that have a product beyond something that has a really long encrypted code that nobody can understand. I mean, the reality is I've seen the statistics, something like 10% of the world's population now has invested something in a cryptocurrency, probably most of them being Bitcoin, right? So, really, when we talk about regulation, when we talk about cryptocurrency and the slide of Bitcoin, the rise of Bitcoin and Ethereum and others, Ripple, whatever, to be honest with you, when we sit in our space and we work on Eden, it really doesn't impact us at all. It's not a discussion we ever have. We have a product, we believe in the product. And, at the end of the day, if you're going to be sustainable, if you're going to be Apple or Google or something, and Sia spent 45 minutes talking about this, you got to have value. So bring the regulators. For us, that's fine. We don't have any problem with it because the ones that will stand in the end are the ones that have value, and the value will be provided through a utility that you deliver. And we know that we have a utility to deliver. So, we can't do anything about what Bitcoin does, the same as we can't do anything about what Apple does or what my next door neighbor does. We stand on our own 2 feet, and we are determined to build the product as we have explained it to you guys from the very outset, how we will continue to explain it going forward. Our vision, I think we've made clear. Some things we can do a better job explaining. We will commit to those things, but Bitcoin's going to do whatever it's going to do. And at the end of the day, we're resoundingly confident that Eden will stand up on its own well beyond the lifespan of Bitcoin or any of the others that are out there that don't make it.
And I think if I can just add something just quickly to this, as a matter of fact, you can see right now during, I don't know, the last couple of weeks where the crypto market is going down to a certain point, that the NFT is coming up, because that's a different story. We are using this blockchain technology, but as Chris was mentioning, this very, very good. This is a utility token, and we have our own story behind it, which is the usage of this repository and the knowledge vault. And as I was trying to explain to all of you guys, that we create demand when the applications come on the market. So this has nothing to do one-to-one with the typical asset token like Bitcoins and all the stuff. This is a bit different. The story is different, and the value which is coming out of this is different. This is a very unique project in this regard. And this because we're also excited, and I think this because we have also such a huge community coming, having people from all around the world, because this ecosystem is something that for the very first time a private company is putting up together. Thank you.
So Mohammed, hopefully that addresses your question and gives you some resolve with any concern you may have had. Guys, okay, listen, we're going to wrap up webinar number 11. Thanks to all of our participants. Thanks to our COO, Sia Jalali, for his contribution tonight in trying to explain price versus value and how we see it. Next week, on the 10th of February, we have webinar number 12, which has to do with something important. Sia, do you recall what next week's webinar is?
It's going to be kind of decision point presentation again, or is it?
No, it's something different. Listen, I'll tell you what we'll do. We
Sarah
will
knows well.
Yeah, Sarah knows. Anyhow, we will be talking about webinar number 12 in our social media channels. Be on our website. We will.
Yeah, the topic will be released very soon.
It's causality versus correlation. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. This is our trusty backroom team here. The people running support for the two silly guys that are trying to explain Eden to you on the front end. So again, I'll sign us off here by ending in good fashion by thanking the team behind us. Again, it's Emma, Sarah, Thomas, Carmen, Tudor tonight, and Cosmin. Really, it's more effort to put on than you realize, and we're grateful to have everybody because our job actually is the easy one.
That's true.
Good night from Eden. Thank you guys.
Team, and thank you the entire community again, and hope that we can see all of you in the next webinar next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.